if we ignore our emotions or teach our brain to ignore our emotions, to me, it's like cutting off a limb, and it's like losing one of your senses, because our emotions are there in many respects to guide us. Yes, they're not always like anxiety is an overactive threat system, but if we cut off that part of us where we can't feel when something bad is happening or when we're experiencing something negative, then we don't know when to make a decision to remove ourselves from that situation, or to leave a bad relationship, or to, I don't know. I think you can just think of all the other things that you wouldn't be able to figure out in your life if you just have no access to your emotions. So if you just pretend essentially that you're not suffering, like that emotion has to go somewhere. And there seems to be mounting evidence these days. I read this in the book, The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate, that when you're suppressing your emotion, especially things like anger and sadness for so long, it ends up presenting in like physical and mental ailments. And there's really is a lot of evidence for this. I really highly recommend that book. So I think what she's saying here is that it's a BS claim to think that we only suffer in our life because our brain tells us we're suffering. And a lot of times our brain might tell us we're suffering because we're suffering. And there's things that we need to resolve. Actually, on that note, the author of this article goes to say she finds it deeply concerning that people are asked to spend hours, quote unquote, belly button gazing their feelings about their pain and distress, especially when issues need to be resolved, or when it's possible to simply eliminate those things very rapidly and permanently without fuss. In other words, mindfulness should not be used to manipulate people into putting up with things they have no need to put up with. I love this. That whole article I love. That whole paragraph I love. Because yeah, I think everyone would agree to wallow in these feelings of either self-loathing or your pain and distress. Like we have to turn that into action at some point. Otherwise, it really just becomes a depressive state, I would imagine. Like I think we all know that I'm no psychological expert here, so I'm not claiming anything, but these are the things that I've seen over the years with myself and other people, and obviously those things that I've read, where I think a lot of the spiritual mindfulness meditative practices seem to be coming from to teach us to deal with a system that is fundamentally fucking broken. Like if it's how we deal with this idea of, this dichotomy of gender, that we're either here or there, and that's it, and there's nothing in between, and getting into how exploitative a lot of our economic systems can be. And that's not saying there's not benefit there, but the things that are bad, if we just pretend that they're not, and I have to deal with it, or I have to go and make $500,000 a year, or I can't afford my rent in my home, and I'm a failure. Like these things that are like those ideas are out there on YouTube and a lot of these entrepreneur communities, and I think most of us would agree they're fucking garbage. But the idea that we need to put up with these things instead of accepting how we feel, and I think maybe coming together as a people to make life better for each other, I think is a more healthy way than us just to figure out a way to deal with all the bullshit that we have to deal with. So I really love that paragraph, and she adds on that in addition, mindfulness is also a sedentary activity, and that therefore does not contribute to mental or physical health in the way that an active recreational or social choice is proven to do. So I really love that. And the final part is a more recent study by someone named Collins found that daily playing of a game like Tetris on a mobile phone or in the lab and in the field in relation to work stress was found to be superior to mindfulness in terms of increasing energy and job satisfaction and reducing stress. So mindfulness was actually in that study associated with decreasing energy levels. So, like, I think she's mostly reasonable in the things that she's saying. Like, yeah, mindfulness is a sedentary activity. And if you do it twice a day for 20 minutes each, then you could be on the bike. You could be going for a walk and breathing air. You could be sitting in nature. You could be talking to a friend and connecting to people. You could be reading a book. I think 20 minutes a day on the piano has shown, like, over a year, you can get pretty damn good. And so I think there's a lot to be said that, maybe mindfulness isn't right for everybody, and we should consider how we feel when we do these things. And maybe there's something else that you could do, that we could do, that is more beneficial than just sitting down with our thoughts. If you have a very busy life and you're always doing things like this, and you try mindfulness and you find that just sitting down for 20 minutes and breathing helps you get control of your life, or feel like you have control of your life, then amazing. Then you should keep doing that, because maybe that's the time that you take for yourself in the morning or before bed that allows you to separate yourself and your well-being from all the chaos that is in your life, even if it's family stuff. If you just have a ton of kids that are, taking a lot of your energy, and you're on call 24/7, and maybe that 10 minutes, 20 minutes of mindfulness is what you need, then amazing. But I think what this study and these studies and this author is saying is that maybe some people would just be better off taking that time in the bath, or reading a book, or doing other things. So I think it's quite reasonable, and that we shouldn't put as much so much emphasis on mindfulness to be this amazing thing that everybody should do at all the times. And I definitely am guilty of going down that path in the past, and trying to get people in my life that I love to meditate more often, because I thought it would help them, because it helped me at the time. But I think, like most things, it would be more reasonable to say, like, just find something that is a hobby that makes you feel good, that you enjoy, that brings benefit to your life.